All right. In the first video, in the first sequence of videos that we started exploring, that in the previous video, we gave a little bit of a perspective of what's happening today in all of that. But now I want to really break this down so we can start bridging some gaps and making the connection to our next steps. All right. So, what is happening today? Again, when recapping from last video, when we started online 10, 12, 15 years ago, no regulations, social media was booming everybody because it was also new, Instagram, Facebook, so they wanted to get more people in the platform so everything was easier, the algorithm, everything. So any information that we would put out there, it had an aspect of something new, something different that our brains would perceive as, again, superior, different, exciting, and we would stop what we were doing to pay attention. More than that, 12, 15 years ago, and also like in this journey, we had a lot of people succeeding online. And we also had a lot of people that, because they started from the beginning, they were succeeding online. But then after some time, the market was evolving to a point that income starts to drop again. Because we are in a stage right now that we need some modifications, we need some changes to what we've been doing. Okay. On top of that, we had something extremely important happening in our society in 2020. We had COVID. COVID, in the first year and a half of COVID, a lot of business, a lot of people started business owners, online businesses. That's when we had, a lot of people booming, and the difficulties also started showing up. And now, especially, we are seeing a huge drop. Why? Because people, number one, on the human aspect of society, we were confined. So now we are looking for other things. On the other hand, our brains as human beings, our brains are extremely overwhelmed. We've been traumatized. This is a post-traumatic stress for as a collective society. We've seen more and more researches. I'm gonna leave a few links for you in here that are proving that, okay, in neuroscience, in human psychology. So we've been noticing these huge changes in our structure. More than that, the advances of neuroscience, what we see in neuroscience today is something they discovered 20 years ago, because it takes a lot of time to get to the general population. But now with AI, we're getting this information a little bit faster. So we're going to start seeing a huge increase in knowledge around what we understand as human beings, as, why we are here, how we perceive reality, what makes us motivated, what makes us act. And this is exactly what we are interested in here. Like, what makes a person act? If we go through the principle that we are humans and therefore we have something in common, more than we know that if we do something here, it's going to reflect into our marketing as well. Okay, so if one human is having a difficulty and it's part of a system, it's part of a structure, more humans are going to have the same difficulty. That's where our businesses are born, from a problem, right? Now, what we are seeing right now with COVID and these brains extremely overwhelmed and traumatized, a lot of lack of attention. We are having a lot of ADHDs, a lot of different variations of TH, TDAs. I don't even know the names in English, to be honest, but I'm gonna leave them here to be easier for both of us. Now we are seeing an immense increase in the number of people diagnosed with that. We are seeing a number of an increase of anxiety and all of that. And why am I talking about this? Is it because I want to be negative? No. Let me tell you a story. We had this client and we were consulting for his marketing agency. So we were building all the structure they were implementing. They called me one day. This client was making 90,000 a day. Suddenly it dropped to 4,000. And then we were all like, okay, what was happening? That's why they called me. And then after analyzing, first I went internally. Okay, let's see the marketing funnels. What's happening here? Let's see the headlines. Let's collect the data, see the numbers. What's the variation? What is changing? And honestly, nothing was there. Nothing. Like I couldn't see obviously one thing here and there, but nothing that could explain such a huge drop. And then I had an insight because I had only had a training into the influences of the market in consumers of the external market. Okay. Then I remembered, okay, let's see what's happening in the world. What's the information that these people are receiving, that this client's avatar are receiving? Ukraine and Russia had just gone into war. And then what was happening was the consumers of that niche, which was around this investments in the share market, they were not believing in the share market at that stage. They were afraid of the share market. And therefore, because of that instability, the global instability, something that was happening in Ukraine and Russia outside the US, which was where my client was, nothing to do with this client, but yet affecting my client's business completely. So what we had to change was change the whole copy and big idea of the page to address the fear and resistance that showed up to our avatar. Another example here, a client was doing a masterclass. All the numbers were going well. The lead cost, we usually do a research to collect data and understand if the quality of leads is what we are expecting. Beautiful. One day before the masterclass, the Queen of England died, and she's from London. So what happens? Nobody shows up to the masterclass. Okay, so we need to stop being oblivious to the idea that it's all around us. Obviously, that if we manifest, if we have a good energy, we are going to attract these people. But if we are in the position of business owners, we are also in the position of helping people. And the majority of people, they are going to need help in certain aspects, which is completely normal. We all have points of ourselves to develop. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this life, in this journey, in this spiritual journey, right? So the way that I changed my perspective and I started looking at this made a lot of sense. I'm going to share this way in a second, but let's go back to our analysis. So we have the market influences happening on us and our clients. We have COVID that brought post-traumatic stress. What happens with a brain in the post-traumatic stress? What happens with a brain that has always the nervous system activated? What happens to this brain? It gets overwhelmed. Okay, this brain the first thing that we cut when our amygdala, which is responsible for this fear, fight, and flight, and is activated in a post-traumatic stress situation, and it keeps being activated chronically, what's the first thing that this amygdala does? It cuts a lot of essential brain connections that our prospects need to be able to buy from us. They need these important aspects, memory being one of them. How many of us, guys, since COVID, my memory has worked in a different way. I need to have everything written down. In fact, this is something you're going to notice in this program. Please give me a credit, okay? I also have things that I'm working on myself internally, this being one of them. Memory, being able to communicate, feeling in a state to be able to stop what they are doing and pay attention. Attention has become the biggest coin of all times. Kids are crying for attention from their parents. We are all crying for attention for us, ourselves, from everybody. We are all living that as a collective society. And then, what's happening? What's the consequence, the visible consequence of what's happening internally inside each human being on this planet? Obviously, depending on the group of people, the sample of people that we choose to work with, aka your niche, you're gonna have other problems more specifically to that niche. They will be going through the same spiral of problems, but in different levels, right? In different formats. That's the personalization. Okay. Now, we have this all of this is happening internally with the client, correct? We're going to talk about us and our business gaps a little bit further in this video. Now, we have this internal stressor, this internal gap. What happens then? We have a place here which is response in our neck. We're going to talk more about this when we in the toolboxes of content, okay? And this place is really close to the action part of our brain that is responsible for acting, for, concrete, this lack of motivation. We need to get the attention of the people that we are serving. They need our information. They need what we have. We want to grow. We want to scale the business. We want our messages to be heard. Because if we cannot make them listen to us, how do we pull them to our train and we go on a journey with them? We can't. The first thing that we need, which is one of the most ignored, is attention. Okay, we have attention. We're going to explore that more in the next videos when we uncover our avatar journey. But we also have another thing. We have trust. More than attention, now we have a second factor. We have trust. People are not trusting each other, trusting the government, trusting themselves, trusting us. The market, remember, no legislations, no structure. It brings instability. It brings uncertainty for some people. A lot of scammers online. Trust is one of the biggest coins that we need to be aware right now, in this case, in time, in this stage in time. Trust. Okay. How do we trust someone? How do we trust? We have some researches in psychology, for example, with the mere exposure effect that says the more people see something in a familiar face, the more they trust that person. That's why the first marketing that we've seen was, with celebrities. Why? Because the celebrities, they already had established the trust. The influencer marketing, which is the business model that we follow today, or most businesses online are following, they are based on the mere exposure effect. The more people see you, the more they are going to know you, like you, trust you, and therefore buy from you. But there has been changes to the way that humans think, act, behave, feel, and understand. These changes that are happening, again, as a collective society with different scales of intensity for each person. After COVID, people started asking themselves more and more what they were doing, the purpose. How many people think around your life are discussing those topics right now, are challenging their own decisions, behaviors? People are going through changes. And these changes, COVID brought people internally, internally. Even if they don't understand that, and again, that's our job here, that's what's happening. They are looking more internally and it's hurting. Okay? That's all around. I'm not if you have curiosity about this topic, I'll probably create a journey on the implementation toolboxes around that, of why specifically this is happening. Otherwise, we would stay here too much. Okay? Okay. So we have that aspect as well. People are going more internal. And then what this generates? What is the consequence of that? They understand that only looking at an influencer, mm, something is missing. So they still look, but that doesn't mean they're gonna take $10,000 out of their pocket and invest in an influencer. So depending on the business model, an influencer works really well. Depending, it doesn't. We need to be aware of that. And then, what is the consequence of that? That we can touch, that we can see. Lead costs going up. Click, all the paid ads metrics, okay, up and costing more. Client acquisition, cost per booking. And if it was only more, I think we would be happy. I think if it was like, I used to pay 5, now I'm paying 15, that's all right. We can make a couple of adjustments here and there, and it's gonna work out. But the problem is the unpredictability. It's not only that it's increasing the prices and it's becoming harder. Algorithm is not distributing. Paid ads are more expensive. People are advertising online. According to Facebook, 10 million people a day. According to Facebook, people receive, I'm not sure, I'm going to put in the description the right number. I think it's like, I don't know how many posts per day, you know? So it's a lot, it's bombarding. And then what happens? They go there, they click, and they forget because they are overwhelmed. They don't show up to the call. Or they show up full of objections because, again, we are not addressing the main root cause. And it stays like this. And then we see pieces of information fragmented explaining the reason why this is happening. And because I always had this a little bit of I'm not really good at being external. For example, teaching, not really my skill, but I'm good in investigating. And then I took 4 clients of mine, only 4, and I was like, I'm gonna find what's happening here. I'm gonna find the similarities between those clients and understand what gives results, because I don't want just the results. I want the predictable results. I want the rinse and repeat type of results. My clients want that too. Okay, I went there. I took Sam. I took Terry. I took Trapper. And I took Sunny. I took these 4 people. They had nothing to do with each other. Nothing to do. You're gonna see. And still they had results congruent to where they were, of course. So, Sam, our case study number 1. Personal trainer in a 9 to 5, no Instagram, nothing online, nothing. She wanted to grow online starting from complete scratch. Sunny, complete scratch, but she had previous experience in the niche, so it wasn't something new working online. She had done this before. Then we have Trapper, 800,000 followers on Instagram, $14,000 a month in revenue. Very incongruent. Then we have Terry, 1,200 followers on Instagram, more or less. 40,000 unpredictable months with paid ads, no organic. So Trapper was doing organic, Terry wasn't, Sunny was starting out, and Sam was starting out in different ways. Okay. I could take more people in here, but I think 4 will be enough to illustrate. Okay. All right. Well, what did we do for Sam? We niched her down to brides. We implemented one of the components of the human AI ecosystem, the first stage, the first trail. We created a content distribution, big idea. And then she invested in paid ads, but she also did a combination of paid ads and organic. Sunny, exclusively paid ads. Same thing, we niched her down to farmers, relationships, coach for relationships and farmers. She had 200 and something followers on Instagram. She did a combination of organic and paid ads, so she invested $600, got 12,000 back, and then $800, I think, and got 15,000 back. That was the first months. Then we have Terry. We niched him down to farmers. And then we also created a more robust system. We implemented all of that in a combination of organic and paid ads strategy, 990,000 in a month. 320 coming from ads with an ROI of 20 in a high ticket. And then that was a month, and now minimum 100,000. I took this for people, and honestly, if we go and see online, you already know that. You go and see an influencer, they say you need one thing, a paid ads, they say they need another, and so on. But what is the actual problem? Is the root cause, is what is it is a combination of things. There is no one problem. This mindset that we are going to find the one funnel, the one solution, the one problem, we need to break this mindset. we are going to cover that in the next sequence of videos in a way that is going to be it might be challenging, but I want you to open up. I'm going to explain marketing to you through Harry Potter, okay? Once we finish that, we're going to get us in a space where I'm going to explain that again in a normal language, okay? Just to make sure you understood everything. And then we're going to cover the constraints. Why we're going to talk about Harry Potter, guys? Because when we are, the biggest thing that I found in marketing, which is the number one thing that is causing everything, all the fragmentation, is super simple. We are not focusing enough on the client. We keep focusing on the best funnel, on the best reel, on the best video editing, whatever. And again, it's not an exclusion, it's abundance. So it's not one or the other. That's why we created this system in two sides that will generate and create a third one when you combine them. On the one hand, we have all the funnels, integrations, automations. This is really important in your perspective as a business owner. Most importantly, because you don't have to do all of that yourself and manually, and you can duplicate and it's easier. This one perspective of funnels, automations, this marketer hat is important to us, business owners. And then we have the other side, which is the journey of the client. The client doesn't care if we're going through a divorce, this, and that, or financial stress, or anything. We're going to cover that in the next videos with more detail. They care about their journey, about their problems, not because I'm not saying that everybody else except us here they are selfish. That's the nature of human beings. Our brain was programmed to that for many reasons that we're not going to cover in this module. We have Carl Rogers, for example, in psychology, in counseling, saying the self-actualization. So the journey that we have towards something more, the development that human beings are, all of us, even if it doesn't seem, we have a force inside of us that is forcing us to grow, to develop, to focus on this development, to focus on looking within and reconnecting to ourselves. Therefore, when that client overwhelmed, all the things that we talked about, when they are on social media, the only thing that is going to stop them, that is going to stop them driving the car, that is going to stop them and seeing, is if they perceive that what you're talking makes sense to the journey that they are going through. The biggest mistake that we see all around is having people, on the one hand, with a very good foundation, communication, being able to articulate that, but not having systems in place to move that client forward. On the other hand, which is the most common, we have business owners in love with what they do, but they don't understand about psychology. We need to understand about human brain and human psychology before we jump into implementing funnels. Why? Because human brain and human psychology is the key to sales. We are talking to humans. We are not talking to avatars, as the name says. Avatars or ideal clients. We are talking to complex humans that have all a dynamic happening inside them. If we understand this dynamic, we can make assertive content, assertive funnels, assertive communication messaging that will start attracting these ideal clients, communicating to them specifically. One of the biggest complaints that we hear is quality of leads. That's purely messaging, especially now with paid ads removing targeting. What is paid ads saying to us? They are saying, pay attention to your messaging. Instagram adding Meta AI, what are they saying to us? Pay attention to your messaging. The more you understand about the client, the perspective that they have for themselves, that's really important. Not your perspective, their perspective. The more you understand that, the more you can nail the message. And then the funnels, they will come as a complement. They will come as a support for the client to go through an internal transformation that is going to lead to you. Because if, and I'm hoping that all of us here, we have that. And obviously we have the imposter syndrome. You can go to the toolboxes and work with that. But I'm hoping that we are genuinely here because we have something good, because we have something that can help people, that we have something that as a return, as a byproduct, is going to generate money, revenue, because it is something people need, is something people realize they want. We are creating that. If we can create that, what we want is the clients to understand, whoa, I have clarity now because you help me to have clarity. I understand what I need. And oh, by the way, you have the solution. I want to buy from your company, not because I'm in love with you and I'm creating projections and expectations on you, but because I trust what you're saying. I trust what you're delivering because number one, your offer ticks all the code friendly boxes. We're going to be talking about this in the foundation stage. Number two, your marketing is so accommodating. I am feeling good in the journey of marketing. I'm feeling like you understand me, you are talking to me. I feel that everything, every detail in your marketing is there and it makes sense. And then now you are helping me to make shifts, to have clarity, to understand a couple of things that, I already knew, but nobody could explain the way you explained to me. So I want to buy from you because I am buying from the best option. And because of all these components that you gave to me, I am here making my conclusion that you are the best option for me. Can you see the shift? So what we are doing here, what is this machine that we're putting in the business? This machine is a self-nurturing machine. Like I see this in my garden, which was what brought the inspiration for all of this when we moved to the farm, seeing that if you plant a couple of things in the garden is going to start being self-nurturing. If you mix the flowers, if you mix the herbs in the correct sequence and the vegetables, etc., and the fruits, they are going to start being nurturing themselves. And that in the amount of work that you're going to need to put in is going to be so much less because you are connected, you are helping each other. It's not a one way, you pushing and I'm trying to go, being forced, and then people buy, and then you don't have a good satisfaction in the program, and then you start creating problems ahead. And these problems, they have nothing to do with you being good or not, with you knowing what you're doing or not. They have to do with business structure and human psychology. So the purpose of the next few videos and of a lot of the videos in this program is to explore human psychology, of course, in the lens and translating that to marketing. This is a very dangerous content. It was hard to put out. I had because knowing this, nothing is going to stop you anymore. Okay. Okay. Let me do a parenthesis in here. We're giving you here the two sides. We're giving you the systems. We're giving you the knowledge. We're giving you the what. We're giving you the how. But there is a third component here, which is the invisible force. There's invisible forces happening inside of us that if we go into, again, human psychology, Jung is going to call them complexes. They're going to shadows, the animus and animus. So you can have the systems, you can have the knowledge, but you also have a third side. You have these influences that they can help you or they can work against you. They are your brain synapses. They can be called energies if you want to call them something else. It does not matter. We will explore them more in the toolboxes. But the importance is in the analysis of constraints, we will cover them as well because all the business is interconnected. We are going to be exploring more of that. And therefore, we need to be aware of these shadows and complexes and things that are happening to us as business owners so we don't let that be projected into our own business, our clients, or the way we approach each thing. Okay. So, as I said, it's really hard to put a name in this program because it is complete. The next steps are the problem. We're going to understand the problem in a different perspective. We're going to talk about the root cause and we're going to start diving into a new story. We're going to talk about the magic marketing and and then we're going to go from there. All right. So we'll see you guys in the next videos.